welcome to City Pulse on Housing TV Africa. City Pulse is a program brought to you by the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, an association recognized in Nigeria and globally. I am Phoebe Onwabuije, and today we'll be talking on poor infrastructure, addressing the challenges, impact, and the way forward in Nigeria. As usual, I'm not alone in the studio. I have here with me a seasoned expert in the built environment, which I will be unveiling right after this break.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Welcome back. As I informed earlier, I have here with me in the studio a seasoned expert in the built environment in person of Town Planner Ashiru Olugbenga Oladimeji, Fellow and National Secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. It's an honor to have you here, sir.
Good morning, Vivian, and good morning, viewers.
You're welcome. You're welcome to the program. I must say that it will be an interesting time with you here in the studio.
Surely.
So, as I said earlier, we'll be discussing on poor infrastructure. We are addressing the challenges, the impact, and the way forward in Nigeria. So, let's begin. Someone said most of the houses that are built by developers are not affordable for those who really need the houses. What do you think about that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Once again, let me say it's a beautiful thing to be here.
Yes, sir.
To educate ourselves, to cross ideas, and share our opinions with Nigerians and the global as a whole. When we talk about affordability in housing, so many things need to be put into consideration.
Yes, sir.
I will start by saying that housing is more than shelter. When you have a shelter, it's just you are having something to cover your head and then you sleep. But by the time you are talking about housing, it includes having infrastructural facility.
Okay.
And this can be determined by how you can afford them. Now, there are some things we call the basic ones. We have smart homes, we have smart environment, we have smart estates. So it's about having it in hierarchy, what you are actually interested in.
Okay.
But there should be a basic line of what everybody must possess when we talk about housing. And that includes good road, that includes provision of water, that includes provision of power, access to major amenities like hospitals, clinics, schools, recreational parks, and all those stuff.
Yeah.
That is a basic thing that every housing unit must possess. If they don't have those things, then we don't have what is called housing. It's just mere shelter.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashiru, Town Planner Ashiru.
Thank you.
Moving on, how would you assess Nigeria's state of infrastructural development? What do you have to say about it, and what do you think are the key factors that are actually contributing to the ongoing challenges?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at the government level of involvement. There was a time it was the Infrastructural Development Company, Infraco. Then we have the Presidential Industrial Development Fund. Then we have the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan. But if we ask of all these policies and plans, what is the implementation process? How far has government gone in implementing those plans at the federal, at the state, and at the local level? We need to go back to our laws. And that has to do with the Nigerian Urban Area Planning Law 98. We have to start asking for the role of the commission. That's at the national level. We have to start asking for the role of the authority at the state level and the role of the local government as board. Because all infrastructural development evolve from developmental plans. If there are no developmental plans, there can be infrastructural development.
It's true.
Because it will just be as it comes to the ideas of the leader. There's no template. There's nothing actually on ground that we are implementing.
Okay.
Abuja is lucky because it is a planned city and it has a very strong enforcement. But is that what operates in all other parts of the country? No. Again, can Abuja alone stand as the only environment where plans are being implemented? No. So that means we have to focus on the role of government at all levels in the provision of infrastructural facilities, and it has to be with plan. That means not just I am coming as a governor, I feel like working on road A. Where is the plan that says that you must go into road A? Where is the plan for the next person coming after that government to continue from road A, rather than just leaving that road A and go to B? And that's why we have this problem of infrastructural development in Nigeria.
So basically you are saying that the Nigerian government is not doing enough in enacting infrastructural development plans.
Yes, I can say that. I can say that because where are the plans? Because the moment it is a plan and it is approved and passed to law as part of government policy, any government from any level must key into the plan. And it's not just about physical plan alone. The physical plan also determines the social development. It determines the economic development. Because without infrastructural facility, we can't develop as we ought to be.
Well, that takes us to the second question about talking about the significant impact that this infrastructural underdevelopment has caused in Nigeria. You were talking about the economic, the social, and all of that. So
let's take it from here.
Okay.
Power alone is taking its toll on the GDP of the country.
That's true.
Without power, no business can be run effectively. From the small-scale industry, that is the weather on the street, the barbers, because power is a major infrastructural facility we need to work on. Housing, how are we providing adequate, affordable, and accessible housing to the public? Where is the plan? Why do I need to, for example, let me use Abuja here. Why do I need to leave at Lugbe and transport myself to city center every morning? Who is talking about having some housing units that takes the housing problem of workers? We don't need to travel long distance to get to access, to get to your job.
Yeah, that's true.
So those are the areas we need to work on. And what happened to our sanitation? What happened to our waste management? What happens to our sanitary conditions? We need to look at all those areas and the education infrastructures that we have. Do we have access to schools? Do we have them nearby that we can easily take our children to school? Quality education infrastructural facility. Do we have them available? Because those are the components that gives what is called housing.
Okay.
Because a house without a whole road is not a house. A house without a drainage system is not a house. A house without a power is not a house.
Exactly.
It is nothing but just a shelter.
Yeah, to cover your head. Now let's narrow our discussion to the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. What do you think your role is in, achieving infrastructural development in Nigeria?
Yeah, the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners is playing its major role, which includes educating the public on what is needed. That is, we educate the government, and then we do research.
Okay.
We do a lot of awareness. We do a lot of advocacy. We have a lot of proposals on what needs to be done. For example, last year our conference was centered around flooding, how to manage flood.
Okay.
This year our conference is looking at enforcement and implementation of the Nigerian planning law.
Okay.
All over the country, because we know that when the laws are put in place, definitely the plans will be in place. And when the plans are in place, we have a better environment that all of us can be proud of. So the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners championed the cause of the built environment by making sure that policy were formed in line with what are stated in our regulations and law. We championed the cause of making sure that other professionals in the built environment come along in playing that advisory role to
Okay.
government
Okay.
on what is needed and what is required for Nigerians to have a better environment.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, the NITP only advises and creates policies.
No, like I said, we advise,
Okay.
we advocate, and then we do a lot of research
Okay.
into anything that has to do with built environment.
So far,
We train also.
okay. So far, has your objectives, have you been able to achieve them? How successful have you been?
Yeah, to a certain level, we are doing wonderfully well.
Okay.
In terms of, we have what is called the press conference every 3 months, whereby we address the nation and governments on what needs to be done or what is lacking. So we do that every 3 months, and then we are doing another one in the next few days. So that's where we talk to the public and at the same time to the government on needs or that needs to be put in place. That is number one. Number two is that we have the educators as part of our unit. That's the people that are in the academics that involve themselves so much in research
Okay.
that has to do with solving problems associated with the built environment. So we are doing that. We have a lot of publication in that regard. We could do what we call the Catch Them Young. We have the Young Planners Forum that are very vibrant. So by orienting them and reorienting them on what they need to do in managing the environment. And lastly, we do a lot of advocacy by visiting government agencies or establishments charged with the built environment
Okay.
on their need to be accountable to the public.
Okay.
And lastly, we have been able to achieve some wonderful results in terms of the creation of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development by the government,
Okay.
because the institute took it upon themselves by writing to all political parties before the election on what is required or what they need to do when they get to office. And we are happy that urban development is now being put into consideration at the national level. So what happened with our press conference is we do a lot of what we call an research and an analysis of what has been happening in the past 3 months in regards to the country.
Okay.
Everybody is aware that we have problem with our power supply.
Okay.
We have problem with issue of energy, and then flooding has been very rampant in few days. You can see some areas flooded all over the country. These are the areas that we will come up with solutions and address agencies that needs to come online and work in those areas.
Okay, sir. Talking about flooding, we are in the rainy season. So what is your advice to these environments that are prone to flooding?
Okay, let's start from the first one. Not all lands are buildable for residential.
Okay.
Not all lands are buildable for residential uses. So the moment we get that, then we need to consult a planner who makes sure that the analysis of every square meter of a land is considered before any development. Some lands are good for agriculture, you don't use it for residential. Some lands are good for industrial, you don't use it for residential. And these are because we need development plan.
Okay.
If some areas have been identified to be flood-prone areas, there is no way we have a residential unit in that area. But because there is no plan, then we have planned to fail. And that's why we are seeing flooding
everywhere.
That is number one. Number two has to do with how do we plan our infrastructure. We construct roads without drainages. That's a big misnomer.
That's a big, yeah.
You don't have a road without, because when you move people with road, you also move the water that comes along when it rains or when there is other water usage around the housing units. So advice to the public is to make sure that they don't build their houses at flood-prone area, one. Two, they should manage the infrastructural facilities available for them in terms of drainage, in terms of sewer lines, and thirdly, the business of keeping the environment belongs to all of us. You don't use your
That's
waste
true.
or throw it into the drainage and expect government to come and manage it for you all the time. And when there is a warning from NIMET or media houses, please relocate to a safer place.
All right, dear viewers, before we continue, let's take a short break. And you have been watching City Pulse on Housing TV Africa. We'll continue right after this break. Stay with us.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Welcome back. You're watching City Pulse on Housing TV Africa. As I earlier stated, City Pulse is a program brought to you by the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, a town planning association recognized in Nigeria and globally. I have here with me in the studio town planner Ashiru Olugbenga Oladimeji, Fellow and National Secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, and we have been discussing poor infrastructure, addressing challenges, impacts, and the way forward in Nigeria. Quickly, we have to continue. Now, the next questions are from your own perspective. What do you think are the steps that should be taken to address and improve the current infrastructure issues that we are facing?
Number one, planning. That's the first thing. Number one is planning.
Okay.
If we go even the scriptural way, the first thing is that there is a plan that let there be light, let there be day. Where is the plan? For us to have this studio, there's a plan that this is where we are going to have the reception, this is where we are going to have the toilet, this is where we are going to have the office, this is where there must be a document that speaks to whatever we are doing. There should be a master plan, not the master's plan.
Okay.
What we have most of the time is what comes to the head of the master. And we just say, let's have a road. And after the road, you now discover, oh, I'm here to lay pipe for water supply. Okay, let's start taking that's why you see us, they cut the roads again. So it shouldn't be in the head. It should be in the books. Whatever is in the head of the professional should be in the book first, called the plan. Then from the plan, you now implement.
Okay.
A line in a plan could be as long as 10-kilometer roads. So you don't make a mistake with that. But you can usually use your eraser to clean up the line on the paper. And okay, let's do this way, let's do this way. So the first solution is planning, proper planning. And that planning has to come from the professionals in the built environment. And with that, we have the solution.
Okay, so you are indirectly saying that the government most times do not employ the use of these professionals when making the plans.
Yes, I can say that again. If I might ask, when we look at some of our leadership offices, the question is this person trained to be in this office? If you're a doctor, you're in the medical field, then you will be a commissioner for health, or you will be a minister for health. If you are in the education sector, you have to have something to say in respect of that ministry, because you are trained all along in that field. But when we put the round peg in a square hole, it doesn't fit in, and we'll be having this problem. Number one. Number two, planning is a long-term thing. But most of our political leaders are interested in short-term measures, what they want to do that people will see now, not what you will do that will have effects in people's life years even after you. So we have to change our perception.
Okay.
We have to change the narratives by looking at what do we need to do. Today, Lagos is talking about blue lane. They are talking about red lane. It doesn't start with the present administration. There is a development plan that leads to that. I am aware there is Fort Mainland Bridge on paper. That means there is a paperwork for Fort Mainland Bridge that has been concluded, and with time, implementation, it doesn't mean that this administration should take the glory. No. So our leadership should change their perception from looking at what is the short-time thing that will make people to say, oh, Hosanna, or oh, hallelujah, or oh,
They've done it.
Allah, we thank you. No. But what you will do, that people will speak years after you, like they've done with Sodana, they've done with Awolowo, they've done with Sikh, that we still know that they existed based on the giant stride they are able to implement based on their development plans.
Okay, sir. Don't you think that the citizens of Nigeria are actually the one putting pressure on the government? They always want to see what the government has done. Take a look at the present administration. We see that the protest that just ended a few days ago was about, okay, we want to see what the government has done so far. Don't you think the citizens are to be blamed, putting so much pressure on the government,
No, the citizens are not to be. It's a fundamental human right to ask for some things.
Okay.
What they are asking for, is it their right? Yes. They're asking for better power. They're asking for better housing. They're asking for good roads. They don't want to travel by here and spend. They want to move online, and these are their fundamental human rights.
Yes.
Why are they not having? Because there is no plan and there is no provision for it. What we have seen over the year are promises that this will be available, that will be available. Let's look at it. They say low-cost housing estate. How low is the cost? How many people can afford it?
Is it affordable for the common man?
So, but if there is a plan, I have to measure this plan over and over, and the people can measure your level of compliance with the plan, which is P. There won't be another P, which is called the protest.
Okay.
Because people can see that, okay, we are in level 1, we are going to level 10. Okay, you have tried to get us to level 2. The next government has taken us to level 3. I have been saying NEPA since when I was a baby, and I'm still saying up NEPA, despite the change of name.
Yeah.
So there is tendency for people to ask questions because they are not seeing those required changes. It's not a pressure per se, but blaming the public now is you have the power to vote people into office. You have the power to elect. When they come to you to campaign, why don't you ask for the plan? Why do you ask for the pocket? Why do you ask for sentiments? Why not the plan? What are you going to do as the chairman of a local government? Where is the plan that you want to implement? If they don't have a plan, they don't deserve your vote. And that's the way forward.
I hope Nigerians are listening. Ask for the plan. Don't ask for palliatives. Please, we need to move forward. So let's quickly conclude. What are your thoughts on the way forward? We've talked about plan, and it's a good one. It's really a good one. But what role does the NITP play in achieving these objectives?
Like I say earlier, and I will still repeat myself, every year the Nigerian Institute of Town Planner takes it upon itself to look at a problem reading area in our choice location for conference. Then our young planners are involved in finding solutions to those problems, and then we present it to the government. That is free consultancy role that we do play. Last year we are in Asaba. There is an area that is prone to fraud, that they have problems. So we carried out some research into those problems there, get solutions, and when we handed it over for government for implementation. That's one of the things that NITP did.
Okay, sir.
Number 2 is that we do training. We call it MCPDP, that is Mandatory Continuous Development Program. Because if you don't train the professionals, it will reflect in their output.
Yes, it will.
So the institute takes it upon itself to train its member every year. And it's mandatory. You must attend one every 2 years. So it's not that our members are only relying on the certificate obtained 20, 30 years ago alone, but they are trained every year on current trends of managing the built environment.
Okay.
The other one that I talk about is advocacy, like we are doing here today. What are we doing as an institute? We are trying to talk to the public. We are trying to talk to the government. And this is what you need to do for us to get it right. So the institute is doing something in that area. Also, we do a lot of advocacy that by going to government agencies or courtesy call, course visits, and then discussing on what they need to do to improve. Like I told you, I want to see that professional body that achieved what we achieved before the election by writing to all political parties, looking to their manifestos and analyzing it and telling them areas they need to work on. So if you belong to any political party, the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners has communicated with your party on what they need to do based on their manifesto for us to have a sustainable and a good environment.
Thank you very much, Town Planner Ashiru Olugbenga Oladimeji, Fellow and National Secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. It has been an educative and interesting time with you here in the studio.
Thank you.
So that's a wrap on City Pulse, coming to you live from Housing TV Africa studio in Abuja. Don't forget to follow Housing TV Africa on our YouTube channel and all social media platforms. Also download the Housing TV mobile app on Google Play and Apple Play Store to stay connected. I am Phoebe Onwabuije. Thanks for watching and bye for now.